Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. My name is Ajulam. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new to my channel, you're welcome. Consider subscribing and don't forget to turn on the bell icon so that you get to know anytime I post new videos. So today I'm going to show us how to make this beautiful bolero jacket with a standing collar. So if you're interested, let's get started. So to make this beautiful bolero jacket with a collar stand, you're going to be needing your 1.5 yards of your fabric. And as you can see, I'm working with an African print. So you can use an African print. You can also use your satin, or you can use any fabric of your choice, but make sure that it's of a cotton blend. So I'm working with 1.5 yards. You also need a hairstay. You know that hairstay has a way of making your work to look to have more volume and to look very neat. So make sure you have your hairstay and of course the lining that matches the color of your fabric. So having said that, we're going to start by drafting out the pattern. So this is a jacket. The pattern is going to look a little different because we'll be making the collar to stand. So here is my pattern. As you can see, I just drew some line. This is going to be my starting point. So this side is going to be the front pattern and this other side is going to be for the back pattern. And now you can see I have 1 inch space here in case I need to add any allowance on this front side. And of course, this is a jacket. We will not be adding any zipper allowance. So I'm going to start by marking out the shoulder measurement. Now the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 14 inches. If you divide that by 2, I'm going to have 7, but I'll be adding a 1/4 inch to that because I want the shoulder area to be a little free. So all you need to do is to follow the process but work with your own measurement. So I'll just add 1/4 inch to that, making it 7.25, and you can see that I am marking my shoulder measurement from this line, not from this edge. Remember I said this space is for my sewing allowance. So I'll just go ahead and mark 7.25, and I'll also mark the same for the back pattern. So this is 7.25 here. Okay, and then I'll come down by 1/2 inch for the shoulder slope. Okay, and I'll repeat the same for this other side. Okay, so now the next thing to do is to mark out the neck width. Now the neck width is going to, for me, I want mine to be very fitted so that the collar will stand out very well. But if you don't want yours to be very close to the neck, you can, free that area a bit. So for mine, I'll be making it 2.75. I normally use 3 inches. If I want a simple neck width, I'll use 3 inches for this edge, but because I want the collar to be very close to the neck, so I'll just remove 1/4 inch from the 3 inches. So I'll just mark out 2.75. so all you need to do is to remove 1/4 inch from yours if you want it very close to the neckline, but if you don't want it very close to the neck, just leave it as you normally do. So I'll just mark 2.75 as the neck width for the front, and I'll repeat the same 2.75 for the neck width of the back. Okay, so this is the point right here. So after doing that, now I'll connect the point from this neck width to the shoulder slope. So I'll just connect and I'll repeat the same on the back side. So after connecting, now we are going to determine the neck depth for the front side. Okay, we are working on the front and back at the same time. So for the front neck depth, I'm going to use the same 2.75. okay, and then I will connect using my ruler. So here it is after connecting the neckline. So I decided to finish the front before we move over to the back so that you don't get confused. So now the next thing to do is to mark out the chest line or the armhole line, which is from this shoulder slope. I'm going to be marking out 7.5 because I want this to be very free. The armhole measurement is 7, which is also the same with the shoulder, half of the shoulder measurement, but because I want this armpit area to be a little free, that's why I'm adding 1/2 inch to that so that it will have ease on this area. So I'll just go ahead now and mark what I have in total from this shoulder line. Then I'll just extend it straight to this other side. So that is 8. Then I will connect it straight. Okay. At the end of the day, this will not matter, but I am marking it out so you understand how to go about making this jacket without making any mistake. So this is the neckline. At the end of the day, this will not matter. So this is the chest line. I'll go ahead and mark out whatever I use on this shoulder measurement. Remember, I'm working with 7 1/4. I'll just take it down and then connect it straight to get the armhole curve. Okay, so this is it. Then I'll get the midpoint. You should be familiar with this part by now. So the midpoint is here. Okay, and then on that point I'll just go in by half an inch, and then I will mark out the chest measurement. So the chest measurement I'm working with is 35. So I'll just go ahead and mark that out. That is 35 divided by 4. Whatever you have, you just mark that out and then connect the armhole. And we're almost through with the front pattern. So we're going to move over now to the alteration to create the stand collar on this area. So what I'm going to do now is to extend this point. Remember, this is the neck width, so I'll extend it by 2 inches. Now this part, this 2 inches is optional. It depends on how long you want the stand collar to be, or small. You can use 1 1/2, you can use 1 1/4, but I really want this to really go up on that neck area. That is why I am using 2 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to curve this in now to meet up to this shoulder line. So to do that, I'll just, this is just like a guide, just mark 0.75 from this point, just mark 0.75 and then curve this in to meet up to this point. Okay, this is just to guide you on how to curve in on this area from that point. So I'll just take it slowly and then curve it in, and this area is ready. Okay, so this is what I have on this point. Just take it in so that by the time you sew, it will connect back to the shoulder line. That is for the front. Then after doing that, now we are going to curve in the jacket the way we want it to be. For mine, I will not let it come over to this area, so I'll just use my pencil just to give it from this waistline. From this waistline, I'll just curve it in to meet up to this end. So I'm just using my pencil first to trace it to see what I'll have after curving that in. Okay. Alright, so now I have the shape that I want. If I like, I can also extend it. Just play with this part and see what you get. Okay, so now I have the shape that I want this front to have. As you can see, later I'm going to use my marker to make it very visible so you can see. So now I have it in mind. The next thing I'm going to do now, we're going to be connecting this now from this point. We are going to give it a little curve on this area. So I'm going to use this armhole curve. Just turn it over this way. If you don't have an armhole curve, you can also use your free hand to trace. Then from this neckline here, you can see this is where the neck depth stop. So I'll just go in by 0.75. This is just like a way to make it easier for you to know how to curve this in to meet up to that point and then connect it back to the line that you have already. So I'll just take this now and connect it to meet up to this 0.75. Like I said, this area you can use your free hand also and trace. Okay, so I want this area to have that little curve, and then I'll now take it to meet up to the points that I marked before. Okay, so this is how my jacket will look at the front side. So all I need to do now on this side is to add my half-inch sewing allowance. So my front jacket is going to take this look. All this side is no longer needed. So we're going to move over now to the back pattern. This front is ready. All I need to do now is to add my sewing allowance all the way round, okay, aside from this area, okay, because I'm going to add my sewing allowance on this chest line. So I'll just do that. So we'll move over now to the back pattern. So for this back pattern now, you can see I just marked out the armhole line like I did in the front. So this is the armhole line, this is the midpoint. So for that midpoint, I will go in by 1/4 inch. Sometimes I don't go in by 1/4 inch, but I want this armhole, that is the back side, to have, there's a shape, there's a way I want the back to look. That's why I use 1/4 inch inward. So I'm going to repeat the chest measurements like I did before, and then add my 1 inch sewing allowance there, okay, and then I'll connect for the back armhole before we alter the shoulder area to get the stand collar. Okay, so this is the back armhole. You can see that it's ready. Now remember that this area, we're not going to be adding any zipper, so it's going to be as it is. So the first thing I'm going to do is to mark out, go up by 2 inches. Remember that is what I use on this front side. So just go up by 2 inches as well, and then connect it straight. Now there's a little trick I would like us to know. If I am using 0.75, so if you want to make this for say 6 years to 12 years, you can maintain the 0.75 that I'm just using to illustrate as a guide for you to know how to curve in any point you want to do. You can maintain the 0.75 if you want to make this for 6 years to 12 years. But if you want to make this for smaller kids, just use 1/2 inch as your guide. Okay, so now this is what I have here. I'll also come over to this. Remember now this is going to be the center back line. I'll also go up by 2 inches as well. I want it straight, okay, and then I'll just connect it. So you can see that it is very easy. Our pattern is ready. For the back is going to be as it is. It's only the front that I've curved already, and I want to alter it a bit because I want the curve to go in well on this area. So all I need to do is just to move it inward a bit to make it a little big for me, because this is going to be for a 12-year-old. So I'm going to move this in again so that it will cover up the front side a bit. So here you can see I just finished adjusting it like I just said. This area, there's nothing much to it. Just play with it and then adjust it the way you want yours to be, and then the pattern is almost ready. So I'm going to curve in this part. Remember to always do that so that by the time you join both the front and the back, it will match nicely. So I'll just mark the same 0.5 that I use as the guide here to now curve this in as well. So I'll just mark 0.75 here. This is the point. Then I'll just curve this in. You can use this or even your free hand. So I'll just go ahead and curve it in, and the pattern is ready. Okay, so just go ahead now and cut. Remember to always add your sewing allowance. This is very important, so at the end of the day you will not have any shortage. So let me just quickly cut and then place it on my fabric and cut. Then I'll show us how to sew it as well. So after cutting it, you can see that I just finished joining the shoulders together. That is the first thing to do. Just join the shoulders together and then give it a notch so that by the time you open it up, it will stand out nice. So I am using the same fabric as my lining, so I just cut whatever I did here. I repeated this on this other lining and then join the shoulders as well and the sides. Now for this waist area, you can see I forgot to show you that for the waist area, if you want to mark the waist, all you need to do is to use whatever you have or whatever you're using as the chest measurements. Just take it down to the waist side. Now if you don't want yours to be very free, you can also use the waist measurement that you're working with, but this is a jacket, it needs to be free on this waist area. So what I normally do, I add extra 1 inch or 2 inches to the actual waist measurement I'm working with. You know, the waist measurement for a normal bug dress is different from the waist measurement of a jacket. You know, a jacket should be free, so just use whatever you have on the chest and then take it down straight and you have it okay like that. So now the next thing I'm going to do, this is very easy. After joining the shoulders together, you join the sides and then give it a good press. Okay, so I'm going to take the lining now and then place it over like this, making sure that the front is facing each other. You can see I have the same on the lining, so make sure that the front is facing each other and then pin it on this end to make sure that this shoulder line will align with the lining. You can just pin it there so you have it exact point, and then you're going to close it up all the way round. So I'll just take it now to my sewing machine and close it up all round. We're going to turn it inside out from this armhole. After doing that, I'll give it a good press and then I'll attach the sleeve. I already have a video on how to draft and cut a sleeve pattern for a jacket, so I'm going to use that sleeve now to join on this. But first, let me just close this up and give it a good press. So after giving it a good press, this is what I have. You can see that I have a very clean work here. So this is the inside. You can see that it's looking very neat, and this is the back side. So at this point, I'll just go ahead and attach the sleeve. Like I said earlier, you can check out my previous video on how to draft a fitted sleeve pattern for a jacket. So I'll just go ahead, like I said now, and join. All right, this is my jacket after attaching the sleeve on it. This is the wrong side. You can see I use lining on this sleeve, so this is the wrong side. You can see how clean and neat it is. So this is the right side. I'll just turn it to the right side now, and here is the jacket and it's ready. Okay, so this is how you go about making this Bolero jacket with a standing collar, and you can see that it's very easy to make. So if you want to know more on how to make any type of jacket, whether a normal jacket like this or a gown with a jacket bodice, you can join our online class, our jacket class that is coming up next month, and you get to see how to cut and sew different types of a jacket outfit. So that is it for today. Please subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in my next video.